What's up YouTube, Demi here with the build guide for the Max Block Reflect Gladiator that we've been messing with in Legacy League. We'll just run through this temple real quick while I do things. So basically the thought process was that the cheapest build that can do endgame content without really any investment whatsoever. Like, not much investment, that is. So I'm currently on a 5-link Earthquake. One of the links being increased AoE, which doesn't really count as a damage link. This is technically a 4-link Earthquake. Basically though, it's just like a generic life-based Gladiator that you could use any melee skill that you wanted to with, like any AoE melee skill. Sure, let's see, I think I currently don't even have Templar AoE. Yeah, I have no AoE on the tree whatsoever, so like you could use literally any melee skill with this. You could use like Lacerate, Cleave, Earthquake, Sunder, whatever you can get to function fairly well on a 4-link. You should be fine. Just kind of want to beeline for the boss though. Actually, I guess I'll show you this. So you can more or less AFK most things. Especially things that hit a lot. The more things, like the more times you get hit, the more you get healed by the reflect mechanics. So let's go ahead and drop a portal here. Put in Conk Effect instead of our increased AoE, and then we'll just go fight the boss. It's probably actually a bad example for this because it's a degen based boss. And we can't do shit about that. Oh, he's got phases. Actually, I've never actually done this boss. It's quite odd. He's just, okay. I guess if I hit him once he's done. It's odd. Yeah, this is weird. This may have been a bad example, but I mean it works. So yeah, more or less you just kind of get hit a lot and you kill things based off that. So yeah, we'll go talk about the skill tree and whatnot. So the skill tree you want, or sorry, the ascendancy you want is Gladiator. And we pick up basically just a couple things here. The most important note is this one. 100% of your block chances apply to spells. This is what allows us to be spell block and block capped. Right now it doesn't look like I am, but I get 3% from my Tempest Shield, puts me up to 69%, and then I get 8% chance here, so that'll put me up to 77% chance to block if I've been damaged by a hit recently, and if I've procced my Tempest Shield, which is up all the time, so it's more or less block capped. And then these nodes just gives you block chance, block chance, block chance, and this gives you Phys damage and movement speed if you've been hit recently, or for each hit you've blocked recently, sorry, and this stacks. It's like a stacking buff, so the more things that hit you, the more physical damage you get, and that it's just generic physical damage, so that scales your bleed as well as your hits, which is great. And then our last 2 points we spend on gratuitous violence. This gives us a chance to cause bleeding with attacks, and then we get damage against bleeding enemies. We also get, the important thing here is bleeding enemies you kill explode, dealing 10% of their maximum life as physical damage. That is scalable by generic damage, area damage, physical damage, and it deals a fair amount of damage in endgame maps because it scales with the enemy health. So like, the way to guarantee that this always happens, it just has bleeding enemies you kill. So to make it guaranteed proc, you need a bleed on hit weapon, or a way to apply bleeding on hit such as like a Void Heart, or this bleed on hit combined with like Dirty Techniques bleed on hit and Bloodletting's bleed on hit. You can get bleed on hit with an axe easily. You can craft it on an axe, a good one-handed axe, and it's pretty solid. If you want to do slightly more DPS than these two nodes, like these are if you get hit recently, you don't have to take those. You could go for the Blood in the Eyes for another 25% chance to hit, or chance to bleed, sorry, they put you at 50% chance, or you can go for the Frenzy Charge on kill with main hand, or Endurance Charge on kill with offhand. This one's actually pretty good. It's like a Blood Rage for free, and it gives you more physical damage while at max frenzy charges, but I opted instead for the defensive buff here. The 2% block chance combined with the Phys damage buffs if we've been hit recently. Those are nice. But here's a skill tree. We come out through Duelist, pick up life, Phys and life, and then we go into Phys damage, life nodes, attack speed, Phys damage with a shield and chance to block with shields, Golem's blood, more block chance, melee damage with a shield, defenses with a shield, attack speed with a shield, etc. And this is for axe specific nodes, so we get Phys damage with axes along with some life leech with axes. Go up, pick up the entire sign life wheel, pick up Jewel socket, we'll go over jewels after the tree as always. Pick up the Marauder start life nodes, a little bit of dex because I need a dex int, more life nodes, some block chance with shields and defenses with melee physical die with holding a shield. Get some life nodes, the other axe specific nodes here. If you want to use Earthquake, you can use a mace, but to get bleed on a mace is really hard. You'd have to use a Void Heart, so that's why I went with axes. You get to have slightly better nodes damage-wise, and then you get an easier way to get bleed on hit. That talking is Jack the Axe. He talks to you randomly. It's one of the insanity effects. It's really creepy. Then I get Resolute Techniques, so we don't miss. We don't have to worry about accuracy anymore. Another Jewel Socket, Endurance Charges, and Life Nodes, Endurance Charges, Jewel Socket, Endurance Charges. So the Jewels, I went for Block Chance primarily, and then Life. And then after that I went for whatever else I needed. In this case I needed some Res. In this case I needed some Dex Int. In this case I went for Int. And in this case I went for area damage. That's a good generic area damage, scales your Bleedsplosion from your Gladiator Sensi, as well as your Earthquake damage, so that's cool. I think a perfect jewel would be 1% chance to block with shields, 7% maximum life, and then like area damage and generic damage would double dip on all of our bleeds, our poisons, as well as our Bleedsplosions and our Earthquake. But yeah, the skill tree. As for your gear, this is the gear I'm currently using. It is by no means the best in slot, but the three main pieces that we get to work together here. We have the Anvil, which gives us a huge chunk of block chance and gives us maximum block chance. It allows us to go above that 75 block chance. You get 8% chance to block, and then you get a Thousand Teeth Timu, which gives you another 32% chance to block, so you're already at 40% chance to block. And then we get a Helm, which gives us 30% of the damage you reflect to enemies is gained as life. It doesn't sound like a lot of important things, right? But it's 100 to 150 Phys damage reflected here, and this is a 240 to 300, so if we add those two together, we're at 340 to 450 reflected damage, and then we add 1 to 1000, so we're at 341 to 1450 reflected damage. So you gain 30% of that from just the helm, and then you gain 10% of that from your shield. So you would gain, on average, 150 to 600 life on block, depending on the range of your reflect rolls from these three items when you block, which is actually a fair amount of life gained on block. We also have like you can also get like life gain on hit with your Vengeance and Reckoning, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that Tempest Shield, when you block, I believe this is considered reflected damage when it comes to Thousand Teeth Timu and Crown of the Pale King. I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me on it, but everything else is just like generic rare gear. You get a rare ring with life, stats, res. Another rare ring with life, stats, res. Phys damage to attacks is always nice as well. Boots, same thing, life, stats, res, movement speed. Belt, same shit, life, stats, res. Gloves, life, stats, res. And then chest piece, I'm actually using a Cherubim's Maleficence because it kind of counteracts the reduced life leech per second on the Jack the Axe by giving me increased life leech per second. Ideally though, you should have a rare axe with bleed on hit on it, like say a 300 to 450 DPS axe with bleed on hit crafted, so you still gain the 100% bleed on hit without losing the life leech per second here, which is kind of shitty. I think this is about a 275 PDPS axe, yeah, with bleed on hit, which is shit really at endgame, but it works as a starter weapon to get you into endgame. And then as an ideal chest piece, I think what you would like is a high armor life tri-res chest piece, 6 link ideally, obviously. But for now I'm just using this. My links, let's see, we'll start with movement skills, shield charge, faster attacks, fortify, pretty basic. Gets you fortify when you shield charge into things, causes a bleed, and lets you move pretty quick. Other links, we have a Ancestral War Chief with faster attacks, conk effect, and this should be melee physical damage, but it's really hard to get 2 red on this helm, so I'm just using it with conk effect, and then I just like swap it in for increased AoE for boss fights, but it should be a 4-link damage setup to help you on the single targets. It's got fairly high DPS. Other links, we have a Vengeance, Reckoning, Riposte, linked with Culling Strike. If you want more safety, you can link this to life gain on hit, so you gain another source of life whenever you block or whenever you're hit, including these 2 things, which is, again, pretty solid. And then this link, I have a Tempest Shield, which is linked to Curse on Hit, Vulnerability, and Temp Chains. If you don't have dual Curse from your +1 Curse, the Anvil, though, you can swap that out for just a cast and damage taken Tempest Shield, Curse on Hit, with either Vulnerability or Temp Chains or Enfeeble, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And then I have a random Enduring Cry, And then these guys, these are totally up to you. I don't use Blood Rage very often. I don't use, like, the Hatred is okay, but I think these are kind of shit. I'm using Pretty Elements because I need the res. So these should be, I think, the perfect ones would be like Arctic Armor, Hatred, maybe, and then an extra link here for whatever you want. Maybe a Vol skill, whatever. But because my gear is relatively budget, still I haven't fixed that resistance problem, so I'm just using those. And then your main 6 link, or 5 link for now, is Earthquake, Less Duration, Poison instead of Rapid Decay, because I wanted to get that guaranteed poison. My 6 link would be Rapid Decay. Then I use increased AoE melee physical damage. But yeah, the 6th link would be Rapid Decay, and then it should be Earthquake. In order of priority, Earthquake, Less Duration, melee physical, increased AoE / conk effect for bosses, and then your poison, and then your Rapid Decay is your last link. Flask, just a generic increased recovery speed. Eternal Flask with Ignite immunity, sure. Instant Bleed Flask, reduced charges used Basalt Flask for the Phys mitigation. And then a Lion's Roar for a huge chunk of more melee physical damage, as well as an Aziri's Promise for chaos damage, which scales our poison pretty heavily, along with another source of leech and chaos resistance. But yeah, that's the character. I've taken him pretty successfully up to tier 12 maps, no issues. The single target feels kind of bad because I don't have a good War Chief setup and I'm using a relatively low PDPS weapon, but the AoE clear is beautiful. On a 6 link, it should be a lot better single target, as well as having a 4 link and Social War Chief and a better weapon, and a lot better jewels would help as well. But yeah, I'm enjoying the character still. It does fairly well in Legacy Softcore. I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are having a good time in League. I hope you enjoyed this video. Skill tree is in the description below. I'll level 100 skill tree in the description. But yeah, that's time me out. I'll see you guys next time.